10 years ago, in his final moments, Barok Van Zeiks left behind a will. A will that Genshin Isogi was able to use as a weapon to negotiate his escape from prison. In all probability, the details in the will were related to the Professor case. The defense's last statement is mere conjecture. What are you getting at, Madden? Ryunosuke? As soon as the words come out of my mouth, there's no going back. I believe that the last will and testament of local events was in fact... I think it might be a confession. You can do this, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe that what Lord Van Zeiks actually penned down that day was a confession. A confession? Regarding the massive murderer known as the Professor. As his true identity.
Objection!
Enough, Counsel. What are you saying? Do you even realize? Confession about the true identity of the Professor? That would mean... Lord Van Zeiks, I appreciate this must be hard to take in. But it's the only explanation that fits. The killer that would terrorize London a decade ago, and became known as the Professor. The man believed to have murdered 5 members of the aristocracy. Wasn't Genshin Isogi at all. No, you can't be suggesting. It was in fact the man believed to have been the 5th victim. Lord Van Zeiks himself. Oh god. And there's a hot that was a scream. That too fast to say. It's finally open. Pandora's box. The great Van Zeiks family, they've been thoroughbreds in the British judiciary for years. The Lord Van Zeiks, he was a paragon of justice in the capital. But he was actually a mass murderer? Perpetrator of the risky of the violent nature? If the general public ever found out, law and order in the country would be finished. My brother? Oh, this is too awful. Poor Lord Van Zeiks. I wonder, though, did he never suspect? Naruhodo? Oh, Barok Van Zeiks is a brilliant student. Is it conceivable that he didn't realize what his older brother really was? Order, order! Order in the court! Lord Van Zeiks. Professor made us an enormous hound of his murder weapon. Tell me, did your brother own a dog? Yes, he did. Belmont. He was a well-known hunting dog. People called him a giant. I don't believe this. When my brother would go hunting in the forest of the grounds behind the house, he always took Belmont. After Clint's death, the creature passed away too. Almost as if he were following his master. He was a magnificent hunting dog, worthy of the jewel-studded collar around his neck. Jewel-studded collar? That's right. Though sadly, some years ago now, it was stolen by a thief who broke into the house one night. A jewel-studded collar, stolen by a thief? It so happens that myself and my colleagues have come across the collar during our time in London. How could you? There was an old emblem attached to the collar too, made of pure gold. So, that's how it's related to the Shamspeare case. It was topped with a small crown and born ornament with the capital B. What? An emblem bearing the initial B? You know it? It's the insignia of the Baskerville family. The Baskerville? Why is that name coming up now? Baskerville is the family name of my late brother's widow. That pure gold emblem was her heirloom. which Clint acquired upon their marriage. There can be no doubt then. The collar you've described was Balmum's. Family insignia of Lord Clint Van Zeiks' widow. There was a considerable amount of blood on the collar when we saw it. Since we know the dog was used for hunting, it could have been from its quarry, of course. But it could equally have been from home and prey. So it is true then. Clint Van Zeiks really was a professor. Possible. These Japanese are making all this to extortionate their own. So in fact, the person responsible for these murders of nobles and royals was a noble himself. And that threatened to be an enormous scandal that would irrevocably destabilize British society. My father knew it, and using that to negotiate his way out of unjust changes brought against him. But the very last hour, those he'd bargained with betrayed him, slaying him mercilessly on foreign soil. Well, can you deny it, Lord Strongheart? 10 years have passed, and still now, the 6 million inhabitants of our great capital rest easy believing that justice was done. That, through his enmity remains, the diabolical murderer was caught and executed. Very well then. You may have the truth. Tell me then. Tell me what Clint really was. Lord Clint Van Zeiks was too pure of a heart. When he became a prosecutor and went on his pursuit of the black roots of crime, he drove himself into a corner. He came to the uncomfortable realization that to fight the most fiendish of criminals requires one to become even more fiendish for himself. Clint. The 19th century was a truly miraculous 100 years for the Great Britain, and indeed the whole world. New industry, new technology, and with the birth of the Metropolitan Police Service, new law and order. But these dazzling new developments meant ever deeper shadows were cast on society. Water still at the factories, air thick with nauseous fumes, and crime, growing day to fill the darkness. Lord Clint Van Zeiks made his mission to combat the darkness. But as the time went on, it slowly ate at his soul, until eventually, he was consumed. It's ironic, really, somewhat surprising, that the truth has once again been unearthed by Japanese. Once again? What do you mean? 10 years ago, your father, Genshin Itsugi, turned up at my office one night. Professor! Yes, beyond all shadows of doubt. You must issue a warrant to search his home at once. Don't be absurd. A man come from one of our country's most illustrious families. He's a paragon of justice near the capital. Yes, that's the point. That's why none of you British can see it. Using his noble status as a diversion, whilst he commits these atrocious crimes behind the scenes. Do you have evidence? Nothing defend as yet. But he keeps an enormous, savage hound on the estate. We need full support of the justice here for this. We're up against a member of the aristocracy. So a large family estate has a fierce guard dog. You should know that's commonplace here in Britain. I'm sorry, but I can't possibly put Scotland Yard on this based on the tenuous accusation of a visiting student. He turned down Asogi's plea, and as a result, he took upon himself to visit the Van Zeiks mansion of his own. You can only imagine how it happened between the two men. Though we know the outcome, of course. Lord Clint Van Zeiks perished. I don't believe this. So, in actual fact, Kazuma's father did. He made the late Lord Van Zeiks meet the same fate. The permanent end to the Professor killings. by taking the drastic measure of ending the perpetrator's life? As soon as I hurried to the mansion. When I arrived, it was easy to grasp what had happened. And what about the will? Soki must have already taken it. Nothing to be natural was found at the scene. We had no idea of the existence of such a document at the time. I was the only person who knew of the true identity of the professor. So, I resolved to keep it a secret, and to guard the secret to the bitter end. So you admitted to it, that you were behind it all? It was you, then, who pinned the crimes of my father. I did what needed to be done in order to protect the law and order of the British Empire. Even if that meant employing an unforgivable ruse. But it was you who arranged the fabricated evidence. I ordered that detective to take care of it, while keeping the truth from him, naturally. Gregson. Obviously, he posed to me at first. Are you off your rocker? You can't do something like that. There's no question. That was the Sogi who murdered Barok Van Zeiks. His staff, house staff must have made statements that they saw the man running from the mansion that night. Yes, well, I have no doubt it was that Japanese fella. But we haven't got a shred of conclusive evidence against the man. And worse than that, he doesn't keep a dog. So we're short of a murder weapon in a boot. And we're short on time, Gregson. We must put a stop to this man's rampage, for the good of the country. So we'll use whatever means necessary. Do I make myself clear, detective? Blimey. That 9 or 10 years ago, when I was attacked by those thugs in the back streets, and Genshin's ring was taken. That was him, was it? That Gregson and his hired help? And the detective handed the stolen ring to Dr. Wilson, who feigned its discovery from the victim's stomach during that autopsy. And in light of that decisive evidence, the Stoic was found guilty of the charges brought against him. However, behind the scenes, he had actually struck a deal with his accusers. So they agreed to silently accept the charges. Now, don't still believe that part. As far as I knew the man, my father despised such an underhand dealings. It was extremely easy to make him comply. You see, he had one crippling weakness. What weakness? Isn't it obvious? You, Kazuma Sogi. Me? You have no desire to return to your homeland, Asogi. What? Though I hear you have a 14-year-old son. Agree to cooperate and accept your guilt without contention. And you will see Japan and your son again. You scoundrel! Whether you choose, wisely or not, his will be closed trial, in order by Her Majesty. So whatever rash claims you might make in court, we'll have no trouble in stiffing them. There's only one outcome for you, Asogi. The gallows. Don't forget that I still have a weapon at my disposal. A document revealing the truth that I know you're desperate to keep hidden. Yes, it hadn't escaped my mind, which is the only reason why I'm willing to bargain with you. I will only want to protect this country's law and order. You understand? So, what's it to be, Kasogi? Kazuma. He did it for me? And as I told him at the time, my motive was simply to protect Britain from the damage truth would do. To protect this country's law and order. At any cost.
Objection!
I've never dared to let myself even consider this possibility until now. But in the light of all this treachery, I have no to ask. The mastermind behind the Reaper of the Bailey. Was it you, Lord Mal Strongheart? A rather brilliant idea, wouldn't you say, Lord Barok Van Zeiks? That the spirit of your late brother, that paragon of justice, should return to reap justice from his sibling. Could there be a more appetizing tale for Lion's masses, I ask you? What? What brazen? I knew that you'd play the part of perfection, but your role really wasn't that something of a bondman to death. No, you were London's guardian angel. An angel with bloody hands? I think not. Those who had cooperated with me already were too happy to participate in my plan. Inspector Gregson, Dr. Wilson, my minions worked tirelessly to ensure that finger of the guilt would never come to rush into you. It's all thanks to them that you were exiled, exacted as demagogue the Reaper became. Dr. Wilson left Britain 4 years ago, when he was invited to work in Japan. That's right. Tried to employ the services of your younger prodigy after that. Dr. Courtney Scythe. So what with the execution of the oppressor and the subsequent reign of the Reaper of the Bailey, and successfully safeguard the law and order in our mighty capital the past decade? That is everything. My lords, ladies, and gentlemen, I do hereby confess, it was I who started the concept of the Reaper. However, let me say in defense, it was for the preservation of the law and order across the entire empire. Lord Strongheart did it. And a forgivable collection of crimes, but still, all those who died at the Reaper's hands were brought into the core anyway. It was all made to keep London safe. There's one left now who can reveal the precise truth of what happened 10 years ago. Wrong button. Therefore, this trial can go no further. Now, I would like to entreat all the present. Beyond these 4 walls, nobody needs to know the truth. Even Her Majesty must be protected from this. I trust you all appreciate the importance of my request. It is, of course, for the good of the country. Can you do this? Can the trial really end now?
Hold it!
I have one last question. For the accused, Lord Van Zeiks. What? Of course, I know that you're a highly accomplished prosecutor, so I find it hard to believe that you didn't have any doubts at all. That you never suspected your older brother? Yes, the same thought occurred to me. It was only once, but yes, I couldn't say that I never had my doubts. My brother's sense of justice was extremely strong, perhaps too strong, I observed. All that time, there were members of the aristocracy who were pleading in the country for dry for their own gain. And since they were nobles, they were untouchable. For my brother, it was a source of greed, turmoil. Coincidentally, at the same time, the professor began his terrifying reign. During the time of professor killings, my brother did not appear to be himself. Makes the suspect? Yes. But it was only once, no more. Only once? Really? Clinton wasn't the culprit. That was my conclusion at the time. I still believe it now. Do you have any evidence to support the idea? Third victim, with Lord Chief Justice at the time. It was he who had recognized my brother's potential and trained him as a prosecutor. No matter what the circumstances, it's unthinkable that my brother could have killed his friend and mentor. That will do. Neither Clint Van Zeiks nor Genshin Isugi walk in this earth. How much we debate this now, we cannot hope to reach a conclusion. There is only 2 exam pieces of evidence at the time. The woe-begone ring that acted as incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Isogi, and the 3-page last will and testament penned in black ink left behind the man. He said 3-pen will. The wretched truth of what happened is exactly what I've explained. What? If he was referring to Isogi, right? Yeah, I've seen this quite a few times. There's 2 papers here. Where's the 3rd? That's all. Court adjourned.
Objection!
I think she picked it up as well. Thank you, Kazuma. Me? If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have made this 11th hour discovery. What discovery? My lord, I'm afraid you... I'm insistent trial continues. Strongheart, I think you may have played yourself. The court has been reminded today already. We must stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth. And that end, one particular statement made by somebody in this courtroom moments ago revealed a very simple contradiction. What contradiction? But I was asked a simple question. No, not you. Well, it begins with Lord Van Zeiks and his recollection of his brother's brother. Lord Strongheart didn't permit the defendant to speak at length. I merely pointed out that we can draw no further useful conclusions here. So where on earth is contradiction? Yeah. Can we just present it already? One of them definitely just said something contradictory. It was Lord Strongheart. I'm sure of it. Something he said was slightly off. Come on, Ryunosuke. Think back to his words. Neither Clint Van Zeiks nor Genshin Isogi still walk this earth. However much we debate this matter now, we cannot hope to reach the conclusion. There are only 2 extant pieces of evidence from the time. The whole woe-begone ring that acts as the incriminating evidence to condemn Genshin Isogi, and the 3-page will and testament penned in black ink. Yep. Lord Strongheart, would you care to explain? Explain what, counsel? Among the statements you made just a few moments ago, something you said was inconsistent with a certain piece of evidence we have. Inconsistent? And what inconsistency remains? The defense has the right to pursue an explanation. Ryunosuke, what? Let me warn you about the statements you were making, counsel. They may very well prove fatal. You claim my words contain a contradiction.
Take that!
This here is the will left behind Mr. Isogi. The 2-page will. What? Yet moments ago, your precise words were the 3-page last will and testament. Can it be that originally there was a 3rd page? For a moment, I thought perhaps you'd identify something worthwhile. But it's a mere trifle. I see. A trifle? Governor Caden? What can I do for you, sir? Will you present at the Japanese man penned his last will and testament? I was there for sure. I remember the black war room scrawls that day. And I'm quite certain, my lord, that there were the 3rd page at the time. What? Only the first 2 pages were the actual will, though. If I mind correctly, the 3rd was a message to his lad back in Japan. For legal purposes, we require only his will. And we'd want to have any uncomfortable words about Bryn to go back to Japan, eh? So it's decided that the 3rd page ought need to be sent.
Objection!
How dare that make the decision? I have the right to know what it said. Hear my father's vowed words to me. The courtroom is no place for sentimentality, counsel. As it happens, I have the 3rd page on the document. Wow! My father's message. It will be given to you at the end of the proceedings. No, it will be given to me now. My lord, the defense calls for Genshin Isogi's last words. Son, be right out to the court now. Request is denied. Never Alden, words cannot be no consequences now.
Objection!
No, you're a suspect, Strongheart. The prosecution agrees. Your court should know the contents of that message. Hello then, Governor Caden? Yes, sir. Only, I should point out, my lord, that I cannot actually read Worm language. The beautiful handwriting. Shame on you, Barry. I could be of assistance here. I'll be happy to translate the words in English for the court. We're still here, are you? Dr. Mikotoba? Naturally, I consider myself a member of the judiciary, about a lowly one. But perhaps I should quietly withdraw after I've translated Genshin's message. Your cooperation is much appreciated. The truth is shrouded in darkness. Our darkness only our clans, the great sword can pierce. Mighty Karuma, twist thy head and watch them fall. All thy mortal foes. That's the message. That's the end of the message, it would seem. A haiku poem. Twist thy head. Father, what is Karuma? The name of my Sogi clan's famous sword. A rare sharp blade known to all, passed down for generations. Embodies the Japanese spirit. It's not known to me. The katana sword that's submitted as evidence early in the proceedings. The one worn by the prosecution's counsel when he confronted Inspector Gregson. Other prosecutions are beginning to try my patience. Adjournment to the court is long overdue. Presiding judge, I have been accommodating as long as the will is possible of the will of the courtroom. However, despite all that, no new information has come to light. In pursuit of justice, Barok Van Zeiks tragically lost all sense of morality. When murdered his former mentor, clearly he was already devoid from the normal fat caliber.
Objection!
How dare you? I refuse to believe that's my brother. Too much time has passed. We could not ever hope to know more than we do now. Especially since the alleged will he penned, the final moments appear to be lost forever. Yeah. Lord Strongheart, you appear to be in something of a hurry to wrap things up. I wonder why. We've heard you state time and time again during these proceedings that everything you did was in the interest of protecting British law and order. And I stand by that. Without Reaper, we could never achieve the reduction of crime in the capital as seen.
Objection!
What about Inspector Gregson then? And Dr. Wilson. They were no criminals. You just used them to achieve your ends, and then you had them killed. However you dress it up, there was nothing fair or just about that. Lord Strongheart, what exactly is that you're hiding? Dr. Mikotoba, were you not quietly withdrawn after the translation of your former associate's will? In the courtroom, no argument carries weight unless it's supported by evidence. And it would seem that the defense has no more evidence to present. In which case, I hereby order all discourse from the proceedings to be struck from the record. This is my last chance. Mr. Nahodo, you gotta arrest that man! You have to press some evidence down or it's over. Alright, present evidence. Wait, my lord. As it happens, the defense has of evidence to present. What? Don't be absurd. There's nothing of relevance remaining from the time.
Objection!
It's high time that you realize something, my lord. The question is what to present. This gentleman has an uncanny habit of producing evidence at the final hour that I had escaped from everyone else's attention. Nonsense. What is it, Ryunosuke? What do you have? I dare say, the final, decisive piece of evidence will reveal the whole truth of the raw tale. How can you? Decisive? Well, it would appear there's no escaping it now, my lord. Let it be so then. Present whatever you think you have can be settled this decadal enigma, if you're capable. What exactly is this evidence that your defense claims to be so decisive? See this? Oh wait, if I remember, this was recently obtained. True shot in the darkness. Twist that head and watch them fall. I might be going insane, but why did we get the sword? Because I don't remember getting that. I think Asogi's telling me to be literal. Can't find anything out of place. Kuruma, the Great Blade. It's such a thing of beauty I want to gaze on for hours. Yeah, look at it. Nothing I can see here, though. Let's twist thy head. Just be the head. Wait, okay! Yeah. Mighty Kuruma, twist thy head and watch them fall. All thy mortal foes. That's the proper way to use the sword, is it? Maybe I should try it. It hurts my neck, that's the trouble. Mr. Nahodo, if I might make a suggestion. I think perhaps it doesn't mean your head. Oh. I once studied the history and development of katana some time ago, and I'm sure you're probably aware. The sword's head is a part of the very end of the hilt. It's written as head in Japanese, but it's pronounced as Hashira, I believe. Hashira? Mr. Asogi's words really mean, twist the butt of his hilt. Fourth paper. Is that a tiny round sheet of parchment? Scarlet ink! It's written in scarlet ink! I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable and willing death. This is it, isn't it? Nahodo, look at the signature at the end. Barok Van Zeiks, and the date. 10 years ago, on a fateful night. For the 10 years, it's been silently concealed inside Kuruma and nobody knew. Wait, oh my goodness. Look at this. This is unbelievable. They're hiding something. And different from the Asogi papers, that is much more fancy.
Take that!
This single piece of evidence can clarify what really happened 10 years ago. His last will and testament of Lord Barok Van Zeiks. Ha! A wonderful astute observation, I'm sure. But in that case, that has escaped your notice. That document was lost long ago. That's right, it was. Only... I have it right here. Discovered just moments ago. Impossible! That can't be! Everything that's happened comes back to this will. This document. Can't unlock the entire mystery. Grr. Gah! My brother's last will and testament. Where'd you find that? It was rolled up inside this. Inside Kuruma! The ultimate weapon Genshin Asogi obtained from his land undisturbed hilt of the sword all these years. Just waiting the right time to emerge and reveal the truth. The signature and seal certainly look official. god, it's true. It's my brother's handwriting. There can be no mistake. Oh, I can tell from a distance. He is mad. I forbid the contents of the document from being read out. Do you hear me? I strictly forbid it.
Objection!
You can't do that, my lord. This document could explain everything. That document could literally destroy the meaning of the justice in this country. I demand that you hand it to me. At once! Why? What are you trying to hide? Could it be that you already know what's written on this page? What are you implying? Close the journal with immediate effect! Clear the courtroom!
Objection!
Do that, my lord, and you'll suffer a fatal blow as Lord Chief Justice. I beg your pardon? Forcibly ending a trial without good reason, and not any trial. Just a closed trial by order of Her Majesty the Queen. To defy him the marks well as treason! Ugh. Lord Clint Van Zeiks really did pen a will that day? That's exactly what the young Japanese said. Read it out, now! We have a right to hear what's the will. A right, and a duty. Well, well, my lord. It would rather appear the proceedings aren't going quite as you hope. You fools. Go ahead, Ryunosuke. Read it. The prosecution gives full support. Very well then. No! For God's sake! No! I penned this, my last will and testament, in the final moments before my inevitable will and death. The hour is 11 p.m. and I sit at my writing desk in my office. My good friend Asogi stands at my shoulder. He has expressed his intent of invoking the drawing ritual of the duel, that I may depart from this world with an honor. An honor with which I am utterly undeserving. The Japanese are truly merciful people. I, Clint Van Zeiks, Lord of the Van Zeiks estate, hereby confess to the following. I'm the killer who has come to be known in society as the Professor, guilty of 4 counts of murder. I will not here discourage the corruption rife among the aristocracy, which is to me, as one of them, so apparent. However, 6 months ago, I took the life of a member of the House of Lords at the heart of the depravity. A demon who habitually sacrificed the common man to further his own interests, abusing his position of power. A law is so important against such vile avarice. Only what a fellow demon can rid society of this menace. That demon was my quarry, of whom I willingly sat my great hound. But though I am a hunter of some experience, I am a poor felon, it seems. My guilt was at once recognized by another, and I became subject to his extortion. He held over me to threat of exposing my wicked crimes to the beloved wife and brother. Under that threat, I have done this man fighting for some months ago now, killing those he demanded I kill. As I watched my former mentor perish before my eyes at the jaws of the hound I commanded, I realized that I had lost the last shred of decency within me, and sunk to the level of a wild beast. There is no path back to the light, be it I or my dear friend Asogi who dies in this night, and I am eternally damned. To my extortioner, Male Strongheart, may you feel the jaws of the beast at your throat every time you swallow. It's out now, Male. How do you feel? So now we know, yes, Clint Van Zeiks was the murderer. But somebody was directing him and naming his victims. His extortioner, Lord Male Strongheart. It was you! Lord Strongheart, a moment ago, claimed that what the court was just heard could destroy justice in this country. But you weren't trying to protect justice at all. All you were trying to do was conceal the secret of your true nature, and countless lives you sacrificed up until now. It just didn't make sense to me that the third victim, former Lord Chief Justice, was my brother's benefactor, and a man of loyal principles. As I said, Glenn had no possible reason to kill the man. But you did, didn't you, Lord Strongheart? To eliminate the man who stood between you and the office you'd set your sights on. So you used your own hunting dog, Barok Van Zeiks, to take him down. I had to be done. London's unsavory shadows are deep, and the arm of the law fails to reach their depths. Presidency cut off at all roots, but the Lord Chief Justice at the time couldn't see that. He was weak. Lofty principles, you say, tantamount to cowardice if you ask me. Which is why I took his place, in order to fight the crime he was allowing to spread like wildfire. But murdering the man? The Reaper, the Professor, the name makes no difference. As I've explained countless times already, it was done for the first instance of law and order in London.
Objection!
Are you gonna allege him as the murderer of my father now too? Ah, Genshin Isogi. Well, that was unfortunate. I had fully intended to send him back to Japan, as we had agreed. Don't believe you. It was you, wasn't it? You killed him! No, it wasn't me who took your father's life. Then who? Only the night following his mock execution. I went to Logate Cemetery at 3 in the morning. It was Jigoku. Judge Jigoku? There had to be a collaborator on the Japanese side to manage Hisogi's treatment after his reparation. Jigoku had a fierce ambition. I made him easy to manipulate. 10 years ago, after he stood trial for the destruction of the witness stand, I had words with him. When I told him he's making that weird face again! When I told him the position of Minister of Foreign Affairs could be his, he couldn't agree fast enough! Seshiro, you fool. As you know, Hisogi escaped the prison in a closed casket and subsequently interred. We intended to dig him out of his grave before he ran out of air. But sadly, all did not go to plan. Ah! Because of Van Ostreber, there was an unexpected visitor at the cemetery with his own ideas about digging up graves. A man who witnessed what nobody was supposed to see. An Ostreber. Of course, I knew grave robbers frequented his London cemeteries. But that grave on that particular night... Blast! If people find out this convict wasn't executed, the scandal will rock every foundation of the Empire. Then what do we do? Shoot him, Jikoku! Shoot Hisogi at once! He can't live now, this has happened. He has to go. What are you talking about? We had an agreement. You promised him we could return to Japan. Everything has changed now. If the truth got out because of this, both of us would be finished. Forever. Come on, Jigoku, do it! Pull the trigger! Shoot! Jigoku shot Hisogi from the shadows. The grave robber was so close. The blood sprayed all over his coat. He fled as fast as his legs could carry him. Then Jigoku and I put Hisogi's body back in the grave from which he'd just emerged. When I later learnt of the waxwork modeler's presence in the scene of the well, I made her swear to 2 things. Never to remove the professor's mask, and never to speak of the events that night. And with that, the secret was buried along with Hisogi's corpse. So, now you know what really happened in Logate Cemetery that night. The truth is out now, though. Was it worth it? It was Jigoku, your Japanese acquaintance, who killed Hisogi in the end, you see. He claimed to be the man's friend. When he push came to shove, he pulled the trigger. Before Mr. Jigoku left the courtroom earlier, he said that the assassin exchange proposal was a demand from his British counterpart, not a request. So you coerced him, too. Using what happened to the graveyard? He was the Minister of Affairs of negotiating international treaties with Britain. You can imagine what would have happened if it came to light that he murdered a compatriot 10 years ago earlier. He would have lost everything. I merely reminded him of that. How do you sleep at night? These past 10 years, I've fought tirelessly with the darker recess of London's criminal underworld, and I've used whatever means necessary to ensure that justice prevails when law and order reign supreme.
Objection!
Mockery, this is tyranny! This couldn't be further from the truth. The fact is, you haven't forgot crime at all. How dare you! I slaved Clint Van Zeiks from dishonor in his death.
Objection!
What's behind the scenes? You systematically buried anyone who stood in your way. And then, you made my father take the blame. It was unavoidable. It was the only way to protect our justice system and public order. Let's not forget the others you had killed as well. Setting the defendant up as a reaper to cover up the truth behind the murders of countless more. That's enough! No, you've had enough, Strongheart. You planned on framing an innocent man. Do you have any idea of the convincing that led to the close of those wretched criminals? We have to fight fire with fire. Our court can't function without a reaper. You can't see all I've done for this country. This has been my struggle.
Objection!
You've done enough. As Lord Van Zeiks, who's worked tirelessly and justly in the court, whilst enduring the disgrace of the Reaper name. Inspector Gregson, fought with anguish over having sullied his hands through the desire of the right thing. Not to mention Gangster Nasogi, who risked his life going on in pursuit of the truth you tried to hide. No, the drunken recesses of London's underworld were largely filled by you. You little... When will you get it through your head, your thick skulls? That was all for the Queen country? I'm tired of that excuse. You constantly twisted the truth from the bargaining power to make others do your bidding. Nothing more. People who willingly twist the truth and coerce others have no right to call themselves part of the judiciary. I strongly suggest you never talk about justice again. Gah! You froze. You've clapped your hands twice now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're clapping your hands, man. A well-deserved round of applause, I think, for quite... He's copying Gant! What are you talking about? Those delightfully great expressions. That beautifully pronounced Queen's English. Really, our friends from the Far East are quite picture of industriousness. You fraud. Keep your mockery. Please don't misunderstand. It really is exactly as you both said. What are you trying to say? I've occupied a darker recess in the London underworld, and how do you put it? Done nothing. I confess it's a little embarrassing to have it pointed out quite so starkly, but yes, I really have done nothing, which means I can't be in dead for nothing. No. It's true! Personally, I have committed no crime. I'm merely being surrounded by fools, who've acted very trashly indeed.
Objection!
Oh! You can't get away with that. You've consistently preyed on people's weaknesses. Yeah, you've memorized pressure points. And what, threatened them? Are you sure it wasn't just bargaining? Yes, it was threatening. You took advantage of them. I'd like to address the gall of the good lords, ladies and gentlemen of the judiciary here present. You all know of these darker recesses in our great capital, and deep down, I believe in you also know that to fight those who dwell here requires at least some of us to occupy darkness ourselves. Let me appeal to your good sense now. Consider this situation with me. If this catalog of horrifying revelations were to become common knowledge among the 6 million inhabitants of London, what might happen? She learned that the infamous murder of royals and nobles with respect to member of the aristocracy himself, and that evidence was fabricated in Scapegoat's trial amid secret negotiations with the prosecutor to effect jailbreak. That the Reaper of the Bailey was an organization group from assassins made by Scotland Yard Inspector. Finally, that was all misdemeanor by Lord Chief Justice himself. If the general public of the Britain knew the truth, all faith in the police and prosecutor's office would be completely lost, without doubt. Public order in the capital would completely break down. Would be cast back to the lawless days of last century. Precisely, to 100 years ago, when 1/10 of the population were criminals. Think what we've accomplished since then. A public policing force, a comprehensive set of laws. And if we want to continue to protect these new era of law and order, I say it again, we must at times occupy the darkness ourselves. We have successfully identified and apprehended the main responsible for taking Inspector Gregson's life. That is all was expected from this trial. All these other matters have been discussed. Will be eliminated from the minutes of these proceedings, in the interest of preserving law and order. And protect Her Majesty the Queen, of course. Well, my lords and ladies and gentlemen, what do you say? He has the point. The things Lord Songhart has done is quite unforgivable. On the other hand, it's no duty to maintain law and order in the capital. You can't deny that the threat of the Reaper over 10 years have done criminal rate. And by fair means or foul. It's all thanks to Lord Strongheart. What's going on? Are you hearing this? Yep, I'm hearing this! He's gone completely evil! For you raising my response, friends, I express my heartfelt gratitude. Therefore, in accordance with her overwhelming wishes of the court, the record shall be erased. Yet respect the man's ability to turn the situation up in his favor. Lord Strongheart really is a master of manipulation. He's conclusively proven his guilt. Yet he manages to evade justice. I just don't know what we can do. Ryunosuke, it looks like that trial really is going to come to an end now. I'm almost out of options, I think. There's really only one path I left to open to me. I'll have to call Sherlock Holmes. Only he can save us now. Yes, and they know it too well. The only thing that can carry as well when you win this court is the hard evidence. But, Naruhodo, what evidence is there to use at this stage? Oh, I was talking about actual evidence this time. I need something to save us.
Take that!
Oh my! Yes, Mr. Sholmes asked if you had that with you earlier. We exposed all of Lord Strongheart's wrongdoing now. I've done no doubt that Mr. Sholmes had already deduced exactly how the truth would unfurl. I think it must be time for the great detective to make center stage, don't you? Yes, absolutely. Uh-huh. Let him heave! Ow, 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 ow! My dear fellows, I must remind you every time, a gentle tug will suffice. Mr. Sholmes, you're looking with wrong direction, Mr. Naruhodo. Because I'm over here. Mr. Naruhodo, he's here! It's Mr. Sholmes! He's come to save us! I was expecting you back, Mr. Sholmes. Delighted to be here again. Lord Strongheart. What is the meaning of this? Belleff, seize him! I put the man in irons! This is a close court! You've been warned once already, man! What the? We can't get a load of him, my lord! We just got right through him! I'm afraid your efforts are wasted. You see, the great detective you see before you is composed entirely of light and shadow. An image, if you will. And Mr. Naruto, if I must congratulate you on your fine deductions. Mr. Sholmes, what on earth is... Are you familiar, I wonder, with the invention known as telephone? Well, yes. I hear that some public telephones have been installed recently in Tokyo. The sound of the speaker's voice is converted into an electrical signal and transmitted instantly to another place. Quite. Sounds are transmitted. So good images keeping company, am I used? Scientists in Moss Experimentation developed such a device specifically for this very day. Moss Experimentation, Mr. Sholmes? A Moss description. And somewhat incidentally, I thought we might just have as well as transmit an entire scene. Somewhat incidentally, Mr. Sholmes. Now you're just being modest. Do you mean to say you're not actually here, Sholmes? Of course not. I know my trusty partner would have some trouble grasping the concept. Except he's grasping the stand to save himself after your shock arrival. Poor father. Leave the courtroom at once! Get out! Or I swear to you! Dear me, you on the other hand, Lord Strongheart, appear to have a very poor grasp on the situation. Allow me to reiterate, I am not here, which would, I hope, lead naturally of one asking. Where exactly are you? For that question I was waiting. I am at present enjoying an air at the rather splendid garden. A garden? How nice. Which one? Not just any garden, you understand. A garden at Buckingham Palace. What? You can't be... Buckingham Palace? What's Buckingham Palace, Mr. Sato? I've never heard of it. Oh, famous place. Did you ever read the news, Mr. Naruto? Mr. Sholmes. Is Iris with you there? Ah, well now. Iris is currently enjoying some tea. With Her Majesty. Her Majesty? Just not any Her Majesty, you understand. Her Majesty, the Queen of the British Empire. What? What? What on earth is this all about? Buckingham Palace? Is Her Majesty the Queen's residence in London, Mr. Naruto? Order in the court! I demand immediate silence! Her Majesty and the Queen? You can't be... I mean, no. This is some unforgivable distasteful trickery by a third-rate detective, that's all! Unforgivably distasteful trickery? What an apt description. Closed court session attended by elite members of the judiciary's rare event. I presume that Her Majesty would be more than a little curious about the proceedings. So, I decided to show her everything, from start to finish. You showed her? Indeed. But I didn't have her electrons remote cinematograph. You meddling. This is some kind of nightmare. As I appear to be standing before you, regulating with your talk of my latest invention, no doubt you've inferred that the reverse is also true. You don't mean... He means what? His Majesty has seen and heard every moment of the proceedings. I assume there would be no objection. After all, every trial in this court tree is conducted under the auspices of Her Majesty, as you know. You! I confess, I am quite impatient with Her Majesty's opinion about the unforgivably distasteful trickery in which you've been engaged over the past 10 years. No! I was merely... Oh, I'm so sorry to keep you waiting. Vic and I had so much to talk about. There you are. In fact, I even have a little message from Her Majesty. A message? Well then, if everyone is sitting comfortably, ahem. For with wealth and with immediate effect, all authority previously afforded to male Stronghearts is hereby revoked forevermore. Furthermore, he will be prosecuted for crimes against his country in the public trial by jury in the coming days. So, it seems that Her Majesty doesn't believe we need to fight fire with fire. Justice in this country needn't be administered from the shadows at all. His eyes are fired! The darkness you fostered to conceal your despicable actions in the last 10 years is a thing of the past now. After today, you brand of the law and order has no future, because no longer are you the Lord Chief Justice. In the eyes of our law and Her Majesty the Queen, you are nothing but a criminal. Adjourned! Adjourned! He's gonna stop. Adjourned! Adjourned! Court is adjourned! Oh god, he broke his unicorn staff. That's guilty. Wait. That's overdoing, isn't it? Oh, that's not good. Oh, wait, behind you! How did he not get crushed? Oh, I got burned! Ow. I'm sorry. Listen, I loved you. You got what you deserved. A thoroughly intimidating man. You got that right. When those words came out of Sogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. Lord Van Zeiks left a will in which she confessed everything. And when those words came out of Sogi's mouth, it deranged me completely. I knew I must do anything and everything in my power to contain the situation. But I couldn't find the damned document. I searched his cell, but it wasn't there. Which is precipitated the stupid plot, I presume. What do you mean? The need to obtain the will was all-consuming. I was sure that if facilitated Sogi's escape, he would emerge with the will somewhere on his person. But his burying his limb body in a cemetery that night, it still eluded me. I never even crossed my mind. Now I was concealed in his sword's hilt. What pains me now is that my brother left this world without a word to me. I'm sorry, Lord Van Zeiks. In point of his fact, I think perhaps it isn't the case. How can that be? There is more to his last will and testament. What? As I confront the prospect of my demise, I barely regret my younger brother. Brooke, you have always looked up to me, and now, you follow my footsteps to become a prosecutor. It was my favorite wish that unspeakable deeds should not hinder your advancement. As for you not understanding, for none could understand my depravity, I ask only for forgiveness. Sogi is a fine detective, and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that this document survives. The second, I cannot commit to a paper. I have confessed my sins so with my wife. She may find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Clint Van Zeiks. Clint. Now, Strongheart. You collude with Shishiru Jogoku and the crime plot to expand the oceans. And you cold-heartedly murdered all those who knew the truth about what happened 10 years ago. But why'd you step out that now, a whole decade later? This is painful, but we have to do this. to ascend to the very peak. These last 10 years made me realize being the Lord Chief Justice wasn't enough, short of becoming Her Majesty's Attorney General. I could have no real power to affect the changes needed in this country. You talked about becoming Attorney General a lot, didn't you? For that promotion, I needed to ensure that no remnants of the past remained. I heard you talking about that a lot. So from your side, I understand. How could you? Like everything to run smoothly, in the exact manner I prescribe, like a well-oiled machine. I was just a step away. And for your ambition to succeed. Did you even bother to count the number of brilliant people you had killed? Ah, Mr. Reaper, are you not forgetting something? Such as... You very much adopted your usual prosecutor-like demeanor in the proceedings now? But the reality of the situation is that you are the defendant in this trial. Ah! However, the president judge will appear to have fallen from the bench, as it were. May I suggest, therefore, that we entrust the file education to an old friend? Ah, the other judge! The regular judge. As a member of the judiciary, I have been following the proceedings from the gallery. Man, I must say, I shan't ever forget the extraordinary battle between good and evil that I witnessed here today. The darkness that has been blind justice in our land these past years has all been dispelled. Thanks, to no small part, to the efforts of the bright young star from the east. Defense Counsel Naruhodo. Yes, my lord? On behalf of everyone here and present in the Old Bailey, I shall give you my heartfelt thanks. You're too kind, my lord. First time I faced you in court, just under 2 years ago now. I had the faintest of intimations. If that for British justice, so warped and twisted over its long history was finally no change. This might just be the man to do it. But at the time, I wouldn't allow myself to acknowledge the possibility. I couldn't overcome my hatred of the Japanese, after the year of circumstances of my brother's death. Mr. Naruhodo, allow me to apologize for the countless excursions on my part. You are a lawyer of boundless talent. Oh, Lord Van Zeiks. When I first arrived at Great Britain, I was literally nobody. I was certainly not a lawyer. The truth is, my fortunes have entirely been made from the miraculous people I've met. My best friend, Kazuma Sogi, who led me here to Britain in my first place. My loyal and ever-patient judicial assistant, Mr. Sato, who helped me study and become a lawyer. The brilliant Lord Van Zeiks, who never failed to challenge his Nipponese rival. Not to mention, the exceptional master of logic and reasoning, who showed me the true art of deduction, Mr. Sholmes. Saving the best for last, Mr. Naruhodo. What a relief. Well, I'm well aware that without all of these people, help, and support, I wouldn't be here where I am today. The truth is the guiding light that always leads to happiness. I've lived by that principle for a long time now, but actually, it's not true. The truth can also be a great pain, sometimes even leave people on the brink of despair. And for that reason, there are those who feel the need to hide the truth, who do it instinctively, even. But as soon as we allow ourselves on something other than the truth, the darkness takes hold. From there it grows, until eventually it makes us blind to the guiding light of the truth altogether. So that's why it's my belief that we must resolve the never to avert the outcome was just and true. So that we can continue to walk the straight and narrow path ahead. Well, I must excuse myself now. But before I go, Mr. Naruhodo, let me compliment you on your grand outpost. Without your beautiful composed case against Lord Van Zeiks, Strongheart, Your Majesty would have been unable to act. As you and your fellows, the haunting undertones of the corrupting British justice system have been silenced. Thank you very much. So, until I pass Kruskin somewhere. Well then, it would appear that this long trial has finally come to an end. My apologies for any anxiety caused, my lord. I'm quite sure we shall meet again here in the courtroom before long, Prosecutor Barok Van Zeiks. In conclusion of these proceedings, I hereby declare the defendant, Barok Van Zeiks. And I think the scale's gone, but the fireworks are still here. That is all. Court is adjourned. Yeah. We've arrested 2 judges. I don't know how to feel. 4th November, 4:21 p.m. The Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. It really is all over. But did I sacrifice too much? So Naruhodo! I must congratulate you. It was truly a splendid performance. Honestly, I couldn't be happier for you. Oh, thank you very much. I really couldn't have done without you at my side though at all. Mrs. Otto. Your kind words mean so much to me. It really is a splendid show, that. Naruhodo, I'd have thought you'd be smiling from ear to ear, but you look rather glum. Well, Lord Strongheart was a brilliant man, and it does hurt to find out all the cruel things he's done. Well, of course I'm delighted about the verdict, but in exposing the truth, I'm afraid I've caused my client a great deal of pain. Same with me. I'm really not sure that's what a lawyer ought to be doing. Oh well, in that case, I'm quite sure that when you see Lord Van Zeiks' smiling face, everything will seem much better. Well, that's an ice-cold stare, not a smile. Mrs. Otto. Yeah, he's giving me the snake eyes again. That serpentine stare. Everything seems worse. He has a face like thunder. Oh dear. I really shouldn't have presumed. Naruhodo. Yes? Almost a year it's been now, since I first encountered you in this very courtroom, perhaps. For you to have risen to the level of excellence you have demonstrated today, well, it's quite remarkable. But I exposed the most unplayable truth you could ever imagine in court today. I feel as though I've robbed you of something you held so dear. What was it he said? To fight those who dwell in the darkness requires at least some of us to occupy this darkness ourselves. But that was just a feeble excuse of a coward. Only those who with a steadfast eye for the truth have what it takes to fight the dark forces of crime. He made fine work of establishing that face in court today. Oh. Well, thank you. What a magnificent word. I'm sure that Kazuma-sama would have a smile on his face at the very moment if he were here. He's not any happier. Mr. Sato, there's another face like thunder here. Oh my, and he really was here. Lord Van Zeiks. Allow me to congratulate you on your acquittal. Congratulate me, or curse me. You failed to bring me down the Reaper. I owe an apology. No, it is I who should apologize. Your father, Genshin. If I had been stronger, then perhaps... I made an unforgivable error of judgment. I can offer no excuse. I can offer no forgiveness. And I can offer no forgiveness. That said, I suppose you fought your justice in the truth. For that, at least, I can't withhold respect. Your words mean more to me than you could know. I will hold them dear. Kazuma. I must say, there's one thing that's still bothering me. The will that Lord Van Zeiks wrote before his duel with my father. Asogi is a fine detective, and a hunter worthy of respect. He has agreed to honor my final two wishes. The first is that his document survives. The second, I cannot commit to paper. I have confessed my sins to my wife. She may find resolution in my death. With my eternal gratitude to my Japanese friend, I rest my quill. Van Zeiks. What can the second of his final wishes have been? That your father agreed to honor, you mean? I think perhaps I might be able to shed some light on that. It was 10 years ago, as you know, the day before the execution was scheduled. I went to prison to say my farewells to Genshin. Why aren't you putting up more of a fight, Genshin? If you'd only agree to it, Seshiro and I would gladly petition the government. We've been through all this already. You don't need to worry about me. Anyway, Yujin, I have a favor to ask for you. Something of great importance. You're the one of my greatest friends, Genshin. Whatever it is, consider it done. I'm going to tell you an address. I need you to go there at once, in secret and telling no one. You should go find a lady of gentry hiding there. A lady of the gentry? She's not in the good way, and she's with a child. The birth is imminent. As a medical man, I'd like you to attend her. Please, you're our only hope. By any chance, is the child yours, Genshin? Don't be a draft. It's a favor that was asked of me by a man I knew, and his dying wish. My goodness! He swore the man that I would help. He said I would do whatever I could for his wife and his unborn child. But if something should happen to me, I need to ask you the same favor. You're the only person I know that I can truly rely on. What'd you say? If something should happen, tomorrow night, you're going to be... You never know, though, do you? What life will bring. Alright then. Tell me the address. Life can bring you genius, sweetness, kindness, and love. I'll head there at once. That's sure and... No, not with him. Pardon? This is a favor I'm asking of you. Only you, Yujin. Right, I see. I accidentally found this on Wiki, but the reveal's about to come. That very night, I caught a train from Paddington to Giantborn dead. In the old house, in the middle of nowhere, it was. An old hunting hound lay asleep in the grounds. A poor woman was on the floor at the back of the darkened room. She was in mortal danger. I broke her waters, participated in labor before she would go further, but it was a torturous birth. I did everything humanly possible for her and her child. In the end, I was lucky enough to welcome a new life into the world. But tragically, my efforts to save the mother's life were in vain. I held her healthy newborn girl in my arms, as wept for longer than I care to remember. Eventually, in something of a daze, I looked around the room. There was a precise precious little in it, but an old trunk caught my eye. I clearly had been well looked after over the years, made of the top quality leather with fine stitching. But it was when I saw the emblem on the side that everything dropped into place. B for Baskerville. Baskerville? You mean, one's wife was the wife of Lord Van Zeiks? That's right. The newborn was his daughter. But that makes no sense. Why on earth would Clint have entrusted the child into my care in that case? I was completely unaware that he even had a daughter. I suppose he didn't really have any choice. Well, your brother said that he confessed everything to his wife, so she must have been beside herself with worry for a child. If the true identity of the professor were to ever be made public, the girl would be forever branded as the daughter of the famous mass murderer. So the only solution was to distance the young girl from the Van Zeiks family as much as possible. I don't believe it. Imagine that in the final hour, Lord Clint Van Zeiks made the obvious choice. He would have, though, himself, this Japanese man here, and someone I can trust. I honored my promise against him, of course. However, only a month later, I was summoned back to Japan, and without disclosing the percentage of the child, I couldn't obtain permission to take her with me. Oh, how awful. I was completely at a loss. In the end, I had to ask my great friend. I asked him if he would be a father to her. That being Mr. Sholmes, I presume? Yes. He took one look into my eyes and agreed to it on the spot. And that's how Iris Wilson came to the world. Really, all that can be said that I did for the child was to give her a name. When I come to Bryn, I was trying to escape from the grief of losing my darling wife. So it was her name that I gave the little girl. Your wife's name, Professor Mikotoba. In other words, the name of my mother. I am Mikotoba. Oh! That's right. I am. Or in English, Iris. Iris? Yep! I had no idea. Ouch! No, no, what's wrong? The thing just hit me from behind my trousers pocket. Hard! Ah, my dear fellows, can you hear me? Is that you? Yes, we can hear you! You see what excessive tugging can do? Let it be a lesson to you. Mr. Sholmes, we weren't able to thank you properly before, but you were simply marvelous. Checkmate move was a stroke of genius. Indeed it was, wasn't it? As past myself, I feel. It had become apparent to me that stop Lord Chief Injustice would require some such measures. Bruno, Susie! Oh, Iris. And so please, what a wonderful outcome. Actually, the Queen Victory thought my special blend was delicious. Oh, I'm sure she did. After all, I won't brew more delicious tea than you do, Iris. I'll have to have a party to celebrate. And Mr. Reaper, you said they must come too. I'm afraid I couldn't. The Reaper of the Bailey, flustered by a 10-year-old girl. Again. No, really? Oh, poo. But I give you my word that I shall present myself at your residence in the near future and express my gratitude. Oh, how lovely. You promised now. I won't let you forget. Bye for now, then. Alright, Iris, thank you for all your help earlier. Oh, that was nothing. Just come back home soon. Ouch! Ugh. One final pinch goodbye, was it? Well, I think I ought to be leaving. Lord Van Zeiks, would you care to accompany me? Certainly. And Mr. Naruto, allow me to once again express my deep gratitude to you. I believe you saved my life. Wait! Barok Van Zeiks! Yes? What are you intending to do now? Well, clearly, I shall have to resign from the prosecutor's office. I intend to publicize the truth about the professor case. Once that's done, the Van Zeiks family will be ostracized completely from the London society. Surely not. So as soon as I am free from my employment, I shall leave the capital. I see. Don't be a fool. Are those actions of a man once feared as the mighty Reaper of the Bailey? I beg your pardon? For the past 10 years, you've endured the Boredom and been cast into one of the dark forces yourself. Now that you've finally been freed from that distribute, your battle is just beginning. Surely? Well, I certainly never expected to hear those words come to your lips. I waited a very long time to complete to London, and I'm properly here. I intend to learn all that I can. Anyway, goodbye for now. Ryunosuke Naruto? Kazuma Sogi. It seems as though he's really matured suddenly. He's not the only one who's matured. Is it Naruto? Well, I think we should make our way back to Baker Street. We must go help Iris with tonight's dinner! It was then that I came to an important decision about my future. I'm home! Ah! No! No! About time you get here. Been waiting for ages, Dodo. What are you doing with that colorful piece of history? It's party, ain't it? So I got off the bang. I mean fireworks, ideally. When you ain't got fire, smoke's the next best thing, ain't it? That's a girl on Fronto Street who could help you with that, I think. Right. I remember that. You don't have the real of that thing every time I speak. You really must hear this. It's quite a most extraordinary thing. Take down every detail now, Mikitoba. Ah, the world-famous great detective, forgetting his partner with the tale of his adventure. A sight to behold. Would you care to hazard a guess? Would you suppose the fetus runaway had concealed himself? Would you believe inside the trunk I have damned this cabin? I would believe it, yes. I say, Mikitoba, I'm not in a surprise. I wonder why that is, huh? Because I was there at the scene as well, Sholmes? What? You were? Well, why did you say it for? Not quite I was expecting to behold, but still. It's hard not to feel privileged to see it. Sholmes, Professor Mikitoba. I'm flying back from the Bailey. Not a moment too soon. A feast prepared by Iris and Mrs. Sato awaits. I must say, I haven't seen Mrs. Sato look so happy in a very long time. Ah, Runo! There you are! Dinner is on the table, everyone. Please take a seat. Time to fill me boots. Really true, Gina? Yup, I'm losing me Copper's clobber. I'm going back to what I know best. It's a diver's life for me. You're really leading the police force? But why? You know Strongheart got arrested, right? Well, the boss ain't around no more, so... Oh. And anyway, no matter how hard I try, the Reaper ain't never gonna accept the diver turned dick, is he? Well, people can change, you know. Except for Lord Strongheart. Yes, that reminds me. I rather, though, thoughtfully offer it to release the ballots for this now defunct piece of evidence. It's the inspector's pocket watch, and the crown has been retouched. That's what that watch was pride and joy. Symbol of great achievements in Scotland Yard. For 10 years without fail, it measured every second of his man's remarkable career. But now, it stopped. Williger's heart. Someone needs to keep that memory of Inspector Gregson's career alive by taking on the great responsibility of the winding that watch every single day again. Yes, someone with equally furious detective spirit. It's gotta be me. There ain't no one else. Quite right. I mean, after all, the boss was... It was my boss. Yes, Genie. Yes, he was. Oh yeah, and I made you promise it all, didn't I, Iris? That I'd become a proper detective one day and track down your old man. Oh. Alright then, it's decided. I'll do it. And I swear. I'll find your dad and bringing him and kicking and screaming. I'm not entirely sure that would be appropriate. Yes, I think, Gina. It might be best to, well, I think I'd like you to forget that promise, Jeannie. Iris? Well, obviously I've always wondered about who my real daddy is. Of course I have. I want to know where I've come from, though I might tell something about myself. But I've caused such a lot of trouble trying to find out. For so many people. Hurley, Bruno, Professor Mickey. Oh no, not all, my dear. Really, you owe no apology to anyone. Well anyway, I decided to give up on it. Because I finally realized. My daddy is the greatest in the world. I don't think it matters what his name is, where he's from. Don't you agree? Hurley? With every word, Iris. Thank you, Hurley. Thank you, Daddy. I think, Mikatoba. Yes, Cholmes? I think that I ought to express my gratitude to you. Oh? For 6 years, you and I solved many mysteries together. During that time, I remember the countless expressions of gratitude for our good services. But a moment ago, I heard the most pleasing expression of gratitude over them all. And should I never have expressed it? Were it not for you. Well, it's softy, Cholmes. But I must confess, it's a way of my mind that I hear you say it. Well then, I think it calls for a lengthy violin recital, wouldn't you say? Oh well, boy on, the food will go cold, that's the only problem. Maybe next week, Hurley. Are you sure a week is long enough, Iris? Even amidst the most troubling of cases, even reeling from the most shocking of revelations, returning and invading that suite of rooms, there is always warmth and happiness to be had. Home of the world's greatest detective, and my home too, with my great family. Naruhodo Legal Consultancy. This attic room has been my home and office for almost a year now. It certainly has some unforgettable experiences while I lived here. I think now, the time has come. Time to bid this place farewell. Odo. Oh, Professor! Are you alone? I didn't hear any sounds in Sato's room. Yes, Sato went out for dinner. She took a carriage. Something about important matters she needed to take care of. Ah, I see. I want to thank you for what you did earlier. Iris, I mean, when the subject of her father came up. Barok Van Zeiks. I have something to speak. I made my mind years ago never to tell her who her real father was. It's what was agreed with Genshin after all. Barok Van Zeiks' final wishes before he died, you mean? Yes, I've had to take some rather distracted steps to protect that secret, you know. Calling Susato back to Japan 6 months ago, for example. That's why? When I read Saseki-san's report about his final days in London, my heart nearly stopped. Someone crossed the crux of that terrible case, the dog's collar. The description of the Baskerville insignia left me in no doubt. Baskerville. If you've been described to investigate that insignia sooner or later, you may have connection with the Van Zeiks. To make matters worse, Susato knew of the unpublished story as well. The story Iris had written based on my notes at the time. Ah yes, the Hound of the Baskervilles. Exactly. It was a work of fiction, but based off the grim reality of the huge beast the dog used as a murder weapon. A dog with a Baskerville family emblem around its neck. And with those two clues, I feared as you admit Susato a matter of the truth. So I invented a story about having collapsed to justify her leaving London and returning to Japan at once. All night of halting any investigations you and she might have been complicated. Something I've never understood is why Susato came across that manuscript in Japan, though. You know, as is the Hound of the Baskerville story. I mean, Shalom sent it to me. That was before Susato left Japan. He was very troubled about what should be done about it, you see. I read it carelessly and left it on my desk, which I was where Susato came across it, of course. It was the only case Sholmes and I ever pursued that did recorded in meticulous detail. I was stunned when I discovered that young Iris had pieced together so much of it from her treated notes. Sholmes and I discussed the matter, decided that we couldn't allow the story on publication. At that point, I returned the manuscript posted by Sholmes for safekeeping. So you did all that to stop Iris from finding out the truth about her father. That's right, because Sholmes had told me how astute she'd become. I see now. For having witnessed the events in court today, I must say my opinion has somewhat shifted. I think at some point in the future, the time will come for Iris to know the truth. When it does, well, I believe it will be for the best. I think so too. Actually, Professor, I wanted to talk to you about something, too. Judging from that expression, I'd say you've come to a decision, have you? I have. I will be returning with you to Japan. Are you quite sure? I'm really only here as a substitute for Kazuma. But he's here in Britain now, as originally intended. Looking student Naruhodo doesn't really have a right to stay, I think. I see. Looking back now, when I first arrived here in February. And becoming a lawyer just seemed to be the way things turned out. With Kazuma, Susato-san, and Mr. Sholmes all gently pushing me in that direction. I spent the best part of the year immersed in this world, but always aware that the seed of the doubt inside me. Until today. Staying in that courtroom earlier, all the doubts vanished from my mind. I was totally focused. I was sure of my belief in my client, and I was sure I could see the trial through. And the end of it, I finally realized no one has chosen this path for me. I chose it myself. Passive defense lawyer, eh? That's what I am now. That's what I'll be going back to with Japan as. Well, it sounds like you've made quite a resolution there. Very well then. I must say, it's extremely welcome news. To make arrangements for you return first thing tomorrow. But I don't imagine we'll depart for 2 days. With the symposium having been cancelled now. Surely it's a shame. Never mind. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities in the future. Well then, I'll bid you good night. Chisato? I just wanted to let you know I'm back. Did you, hear what your father and I were discussing? I'm sorry, I did. Yes, I couldn't help, but... Oh, how much did you hear? Well... The part about Iris's real father, I think... In other words, from the beginning. So you've made up your mind. I return to Japan and continue working as a defense lawyer. Yes. I'm sorry. I really shouldn't have consulted you about it. I did want to earlier this evening, actually, but you already gone out. Oh no, that's quite alright. I already knew that's what you decided. Now, Hada-san. Susato. I suppose this means it has to be a farewell soon. I suppose it'd be a great help to Kazuma going forward. And I know he's a brilliant lawyer, but he's new to the British courtroom. I'll do my very best. I wish I could say it, but I just can't. Can't ask her to come with me. After all, she was always supposed to be coming to Britain as Kazuma's assistant. It's growing late. We should both try to get some sleep. I'm sure you must be exhausted after today. Yes, you're right. Before I retire, let me just say one more time. You really were quite splendid in court today. So if you ask me, anyone who thinks of you as a substitute or locum should be ashamed of themselves. Thank you. Here I once again at the docks. I can't believe this day's finally come. You're really leaving then, Runo? I'm afraid so, Iris. Thank you so much for everything. I don't know what I'll do without your wonderful cooking and delicious tea. Oh, I wish you weren't going. But you had to come back and visit. Say you will! Of course. I promise. Well, it was a very brief reunion, but the pleasure to pursue in case with you again after so long. For a while at least. I felt like old times. Yes, suppose on reflection, there's something to be said for it. Having a little fun once in a while. I'll just go and say goodbye for the presser as well, I think. You do that. Honk!
Susato-san.
I've just checked, Naruhodo-san. Your luggage is already on board. Such a beautiful morning. Perfect for embarking on a journey, isn't it?
Before I set off, I'd just like to say how thankful I am for everything you've done for me. And give my warmest regards to Kazuma, please.
Actually, I think you ought to give him your regards in person, don't you?
Sorry?
Ryunosuke,
Kazuma! What are you doing here?
do you really think I'd miss my best friend's departure?
Thanks. To be honest, I'd been looking forward to our wild time tearing up the streets of Her Majesty's capital. But,
Well, we'll have to save that for another time. Personally, I'm looking forward to facing you in court again.
me too. But, we're both defense lawyers, so,
I'm going to become a prosecutor. I'll stay in Lord Van Zeiks' tutelage for the time being, but before long, I intend to be just as formidable as the Reaper himself.
Oh, I see.
Actually, Ryunosuke, I have a favor to ask.
Name it.
I'd like you to take care of this for me for a while.
Karuma? Why?
Because I've seen it now. I've seen what's inside me, the demon that reared its ugly head that day. It was only for the briefest of moments. The last time I came face to face with that inspector, but it was unmistakable. I wanted to kill him. I've always known there are demons that live inside people. And now I know there is one in me. The fact that it very nearly consumed me is something I'll carry with me until the end of my days. While I devote my life to fighting those whose demons have got the better of them. As a prosecutor.
So, that's what you've resolved to do, is it?
Until I'm ready to face the demon within me. To slay it once and for all. I leave this in your care. If you'll take it.
Of course I will. I'll keep it by my side. Always. Until we meet again, then. You have your path to follow, and I have mine.
Naruhodo-san? The path you're going to follow from now on, I wonder if I might follow it at your side, and unless I'd be a burden.
What? I mean, I would very much like you to come with me. But aren't you...
You're so predictable, Ryunosuke.
I am?
Honestly, you never change at all. But that's what I like about you.
You mean you knew about this?
It was the evening after Lord Van Zeiks' trial came to an end. She came to see me at the prosecutor's office.
Really? Oh, when I had that conversation with Professor Mikotoba.
So, you'd go with Ryunosuke back to Japan?
Yes. I know it's unfair of me to follow my own interests like this.
Coming here especially to tell me. You're a stickler for etiquette, aren't you? Well, what are his feelings?
We've never discussed it, of course, and Naruhodo-san has made no such suggestion. I worry that perhaps I'd be a burden to him.
He's just as much of a stickler for etiquette as you are. He'd never say anything before he was asked. But I'd feel happy knowing you were with him. Look out for him on my behalf, will you?
Of course.
Susato-san.
What do you think, Naruhodo-san?
With you by my side, no trial would seem too daunting. So if you're willing, I'd be honored if you'd come with me. Together we can take on the world.
I'm terribly incompetent, but if you'll have me, I'd be delighted.
Oh, no, not at all. If anyone's terribly incompetent, it's me.
Ah! What's wrong?
Your luggage, Susato-san. There's no time. The ship's going to set sail any minute now.
It's all right. There's no need to worry. As it happens, my luggage is already on board too.
It is?
Your fine judicial assistant has everything in hand as always, I see.
Bruno! Your ship's about to leave!
Time to go then. Look after yourself, Ryunosuke.
Kazuma, draw your sword. One day, when our paths cross, once more, we'll fight a duel of words across the courtroom. A day I eagerly await as a lawyer.
I've been waiting to hear you say that, partner.
Don't forget me then, Kazuma.
As if I could, Ryunosuke.
And Mr. Sholmes, thank you so much. I'm very much indebted to you.
Indeed, Mr. Naruhodo. I believe you are.
I'll never forget all you've done for me during my time in London.
Quite. I should like to think you will remember your debt of gratitude. Especially when I visit you in your country. What? The truth is, although many are ignorant of the fact, the world is far smaller than most folk realize.
Well, I'd be delighted if you came to Japan one day.
Oh yes! Would welcome you with open arms, Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, that sounds wonderful! I can't wait!
In that case, let us conclude that this is to be merely a brief parting, my dear fellows.
And that brings us to the end of my adventures in Great Britain. A peculiar twist of fate brought me halfway around the world those many months ago. But that was just the start of my journey. Who knows where fate will lead me next? Still, I'm confident this won't be my last meeting with the friends I've made in London. And when we're together again, no doubt the first words I'll hear will be,
Come, the game is afoot.
The ship, with our friends from the east, sailed steadily towards the distant horizon. But Sholmes's face was alight with joy. The times may change, but a steadfast friendship will remain true, Wilson. We have but to gently close our eyes, and we are with our companions once more.
So I do just that. And when I do, I can hear his strong, familiar voice ring out.
Objection!
Until we meet again, Bruno.
And there we have it, the end of the greatest tourney. This long journey is finally over. And man, that was a rocky ride. But looking back in hindsight, it should be good. Or not. I can always replay it. If people want me to. Although, this is pretty fun. I mean, the game definitely brings a lot of surprises to hand. And now, we'll have the ending credits and Sarah farewells. He said he might take and cry too, so I'd rather not use it. In those days, when I was known as a Reaper, I felt your presence at my side. Once, unable to bear the burden of that grim presumption, even retired from the courtroom. Despite everything, every prosecutor's badge was pride. Darkness that once beset me is no more, as you too are no more. In the words of a young foreign friend of mine, we must strive forward, toward a brighter future. The boss left a note for me, you know. And I can read every letter now. A to Z out a lot. Cleared a lot of stuff up. The boss was trying to protect me, see? And that's exactly what I meet Chief Inspector Toby and I'm gonna do for the Londoners. I only wish I could have said, well, grateful I was before you know. Gina, the truth is, I'm not the upstanding fellow you think I am. I might be a die at heart, but it's a good heart. You remind me I need to be true myself. I've got one more job to take care of before it's ta-ta London for the foreseeable. And then, I've got to complete your education in the art of deduction out of Gregson. Did they say? Your Excellency, this man is accused of illegal entry into the Office of Minister of Foreign Affairs. Objection! Of the Confederation! Overruled! The minister has been detained by Brent Avenue-way. Who catfish counsel for the offense? A woman forbidden. Oh, really? My friend sat down in the British courtroom at the time. Are doing a wonderful job. Perhaps I should have engaged in services in a regular legal team. Mama, is it true about Japanese people? Are they experts at filleting corpses? Yes, they are. Fish corpses, on the whole. I'd like to hone on my own filleting skills. You don't mind, do you, Mama? Yes, I do. I'm not a corpse yet, am I? Nah! No. And I'm glad. Here I am again, Great Britain, on the invitation of my dear old university friend. He sent me a very nice letter saying he'd like to show me around everything, and that was settled. But what have I done? I'm so excited by Participant Hotel. Now I can't afford the bill. Oh, Barok! Come and help my rescue again, please. I wish I could vanish the air sometimes. Yeah. When I went to make the waxwork impression of the killer in the cemetery, I realized what I had happened. Claiming the witness stand at the highest court in the land, I could never speak of it. Lord Chief Justice and I had struck a bargain. You see? For faithful reproduction of a visage, there is nothing we Testos would not do. Hee everyone calls me gossip. I sell jaunty little tidbits for passerbys, you know? Hee everyone calls me Di Peppino. I sell the spaghetti. No more than a tiny redhead. Everyone, they call me Non. I cannot do it. This is ridiculous. Oh, Daly, how charming. You've made lots of new friends here, I see. He's also locked up! And when we're realized, we're going to strike it rich together. When I started this foreign study tour, I knew what exactly would happen. And however it might have ended, I knew that I wanted you there to see it. If I ended up in the dock, there's no one I would have rather have defended me. But now, thanks to you, there's a new path I want to take. I'm sure we'll meet again in the courtroom. My friend, until then, I leave courtroom in your care. Ah, it's a yellow boat now. We made some tea near our Hodotan. It's important that you resist while you can. Once you arrive in Japan, we will be busy establishing your new office. I'm so delighted to be accompanying you. After all, your talents have been recognized by a great detective. Because you really are the greatest lawyers. A great ace attorney, some might say. And that is the official end.